to today's edition of History Loves Company. I'm Amy Reed, and this is Christa McKay, and with the Marietta Museum of History, and we are going to be taking a walk around town, looking at some fun history. We've got actually 4 different locations we're going to be pointing out today, revolving around one family. It's a family we've mentioned in some of our other videos before, with Glover Park. Glover Park. We did that way back in the day.
Well, that was, we were in Glover Park for the courthouse, but we did a Remember When Club about Glover Park. Available on our YouTube channel.
That's right. Well, so we mentioned it a lot.
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, if you were in Marietta or you've done any kind of research on Marietta, you hear the name Glover. It's one that is common. You see it all around town.
Sorry, there's bugs.
Well, we're outside.
I know, but it's like a bee flying right by my face.
So, today we're going to be talking about a little bit about the earlier history of the Glover family related to 2 buildings, which are two houses, and then we are going to move up and talk about Glover Machine Works and its impact on Marietta and the world.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes,
this is
for sure.
We always talk about airplanes and its impact for Marietta, but Glover Machine Works and trains, it precurses is before that. So very
Trains
important.
and planes are very important to our history. Very
well, automobiles now too, but we have all of them.
Yes, we do, absolutely. So, if you want to,
I'm going to rotate the camera.
Flip the camera around.
Yeah, not the building behind us. So,
Okay.
Here, I'm going to move over just a little bit because all I can see are the windows. I just want them to be able to kind of get an idea because there's a lot of. I'm just going to move right here in the sun for a minute.
Okay. How's it look in the sun?
It's fine in the sun.
Okay.
The question is, how do you look in the sun, really? That's really what it should be about, right? Yep, we're good.
Alright, so, it may be a little harder to hear, so I'm going to project. So this is it's now known, let me get it right, the Glover Cundiff House, but originally was built around 1850, 1848, sorry, I'm reading a sign, just to get my dates right. Around 1848, this was built as a slave cabin. And so this is one of the very few slave, not owned, but slave dwellings that where some enslaved people of Cobb County lived before the Civil War, and then after the Civil War as well. Some continued to live there, I believe, until maybe, oh gosh, I don't have my years down, but one of the Glover family members who owned this property, along with the house that we'll see soon in a minute, deeded it to one of their sons, Bolin Glover, who then lived here with his wife and added on in the back. But the front part here, where you can see the chimney, that's all original to the slave cabin. So one thing we just wanted to point out, we're not going to be able to go inside today or really walk around the property much, but one thing we wanted to point out was that the architecture of this is relatively nice for a slave dwelling compared to what you may have seen. Often we think of like a log cabin, if that, or even just kind of a shack, a ramshackle kind of a building, a house, maybe even just a 1 room. This one has a chimney, it had windows, it had a little more modern architecture to it than you might normally see in a rural setting, because of course this was in town.
Right. And
the Glovers, the main Glover, I know we are so close. I don't want you to get hit by a car. The main Glover, John H. Glover Jr., who built the house we'll see in a minute, and who owned the slaves, the enslaved people who lived in this house and then owned this house as well, was Marietta's first Mary.
Joe, this house is actually on, what street are we on?
Oh gosh, this is right, no.
We're right off of Whitlock and,
shoot, we'll see it.
We'll see it in a minute.
We'll see it, we'll walk up to the street sign. This isn't McDonald's, is it?
No. It's not an adobe, it's like, Bill, it's more of like, kind of like a plaster.
Yeah.
I can't remember what street we're on, I should have looked.
No, it's not.
I love that.
I do too. I know.
I want to go in. I never see them there.
I know. I wish. Yeah, we're doing a video for the History Museum.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
I live in the house with the pink.
Okay.
And I just got a metal roof down just right there on top.
All right. Well, if you ever want any history on it, then come check us out at the museum. Okay. Awesome.
How did you get a new sign? My sign's tearing up.
Cobb Landmarks.
Yeah, Cobb Landmarks. If you ask Cobb Landmarks, yeah.
Go back to the house.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Sorry about that, y'all.
Got the fans. You have to deal with it's the paparazzi. I mean, it's so hard. Back. This is where this train is going. We're going to be off track a lot today. Literally. Talking about trains. All right. So, slave cabin, Glover Slave House, owned by the Glovers. John H. Glover Jr. moves to Marietta in the 1840s. He moves his family here from South Carolina, and he becomes the town's first mayor. He also opens up a tannery, a very large factory south of town. It was kind of in the proximity of somewhere on Dobbins, Lockheed property over there. I'm not sure the exact location. And he builds, actually he doesn't build, he moves into an existing home, mansion at the time, really more of what you would consider a plantation home down off of, gosh, you people will probably be able to tell me what road, I can't think right now. Austell, 1848 house.
Oh, Garrison Road is South.
There you go, Garrison Road and South Cobb Drive. So it was the 1848 house, so it was built around that time as well. So the 1848 house, it's called that because it became a restaurant for many years, owned by a former mayor, Bill Dunaway, and his family. But the Glover family lived in it for a number of years. But John Glover's wife, Jane Bolin Glover, yes. She decided she was way too far away from town. You know, we've got the Marietta Square, the town, the center of business. We've got the center of the government here. This is where all the fun stuff was happening, and she needed to be right in the middle of it socially. So she needed to move in town. So that's when they then came this way and built the house that we'll see in a minute, which they referred to as the townhouse, and which included this slave house. Now, as I'm speaking, this is what happens when you do historic research. Of course, I haven't delved into a lot of the history, but one question that comes to mind is, if the 1848 house is referred to as such, which is down off of South Cobb Drive, if that was built in 1848, then this was 1848, then they didn't build this until the 1850s, the townhouse. So then this slave cabin may predate the building of the townhouse.
Well, was the townhouse built by slave labor?
Yes. There you go. Maybe that was it. Good answer. Good answer. So perhaps when they moved here in the 1850s, but this house was still already been here when they lived south of town. So I'm not quite sure on years, it's... I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly when, quote, the 1848 house was actually built, or if that's when the Glovers moved into it. I'll have to look that up. It's probably in this book, Marietta. We've mentioned this book before. You can get it at Cobb Landmarks. It's a beautiful coffee table book, history of the homes, a lot of the beautiful homes in this area that are still around.
Hint. We'll be using it next week, too.
Yes. We use it a lot, actually. It's a great coffee table.
For next week, for sure.
Yeah, very well written by Douglas Fry and photographs by Jim DiVitale.
We hit for the decline village one if you guys didn't watch that video.
Yes, yes. So, okay, so do I walk around a little bit?
Yes, and it's a great book. It's heavy. Sorry, there's lots of bushes here, guys. So you can see we've got a little driveway, little gravel path or stone pathway. Here's the house. And it's private property, so we don't want to mess with anything.
Oh, I will mention that it's private property, but it is currently owned by a Glover family member. So it went out of Glover hands, and the townhouse has been out of the Glover hands since 1936. But the family that lives here now are Glovers themselves, so they're back in this.
Yeah, so it's a little house, and then you see the part with the siding, that's the addition.
Yes.
And then there is another little house right next to it, but it's more of a level related home.
Built later.
Sandwiched between the slave cabin and the townhouse. So we're going to walk over this way.
Let's walk past that. In the property where this house now sits was most likely other outbuildings, perhaps a kitchen, perhaps a dairy, or a smokehouse, or an outhouse. You know, who knows what all kinds of things in this property that are no longer there. There was also mention that until Jim wrote that book on there's a family history that Jim Glover wrote, that he did mention in that book that until then, which I believe he wrote it in the early 2000s, there was a pile of bricks, or a brick house, still standing from when the slaves used, that's where they created and made the bricks, handmade bricks, to build this house. So, now we're standing here. I'll come over here and flip it around.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I have to work trying. Oh, you can't talk. This house. Mm-hmm. It's you kind of can't tell from here, but it's more of a baby or a peach baby, I guess.
Salmon.
I don't know if that's salmon.
I don't know, maybe. Maybe.
It's color is all in the eye of the beholder. So yeah, we've got. And is it still hard to hear me? Because I'm speaking right front. But it's got the green shutters. This is the side view. Whatever street we're on is good.
Yeah,
Great street sounds
we're
right.
close to the street sign, so we'll tell you.
We have a little outbuilding, which we don't know what to do.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that outbuilding is. The side here that you're looking at, though, I'm not sure if that's original. It does look old enough to be original to the house, but I'm not sure if it was. But if it was, then those bricks that you see there, the exposed brick, would have been those handmade bricks that was made on the property. I'm going to open this up to get a little bit of history of the building. Okay.
Get that page. But yeah, you can see, it's a, from what I understand, it's a German carpet company, but it doesn't look like anybody's here today, so obviously I'm going to get up a little bit closer. So yeah, you can go on the side here, and we've got, the porch is, and we'll walk around the front in just a minute, but it's definitely like a stucco over brick.
Yes.
And it's not, so that's why you kind of see some brick exposed, and then a plaster, I guess, whatever.
Now, another reason that I say that this part here with the exposed brick may be original and may be slave-made brick, because if you notice, the style of that doesn't necessarily fit with the architecture of the front of the house.
Right.
It's much more plain. Yeah. And actually, this house that we're looking at was not built in 1851. The original house burned. So I'm going to tell you about that, and then this was built on its place. So, but the heart of this house, and possibly the foundation, there may have been walls left over. We're not quite sure what existed after the fire, so there may still be some parts of it that exist from 1851, so that's why this house does get the date of 1851. But I just wanted to share a few anecdotal stories with you that are in this book I thought were neat. One, so John H. Glover Jr., who was the mayor, he dies in the 1850s, not long after this house was built.
He was a junior?
Yes, he was a junior.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm. He was a junior. That he died in the 1850s, maybe 1857.
Yeah, later 1850s.
Yeah, and so before the Civil War. So when war comes to town, it's his wife, who is now a widow, and her children. Some of her sons went off to war, so it's her and many of the other daughters-in-law, maybe granddaughters and grandchildren who are here. So one of the stories goes that Bolin Glover, who was one of the sons, returned from war to find his mother asleep on a pile of hay in the home. The furniture had not yet arrived by rail from its safekeeping. He then borrowed money from the Winters family, considered carpetbaggers, to buy a cow to feed his family, consisting of 15 women and children. He then sold milk to help get the family back on their feet as they were devastated, as was the Southland as a whole after the war. So that's just a little story of this house was pretty much, or the house that was here before the fire was abused greatly. I believe she was asleep on some hay. I think the story goes it was used as stables for some of the Union officers' horses. So they really kind of abused the house as they used it, but it survived. And that's what you find with a lot of homes. You know, a lot of times you'll see these homes that you're like, well, I thought Sherman burned everything. Well, most of the homes that the Union Army did burn were the ones that the families had refuged and left, so they were empty. Most of the homes that still had family members living in it were either then used by Union officers as headquarters, or hospitals, or maybe stables. And if the family was still in it, they did not, at least in the case of Marietta, they did not often burn it to the ground under the people. They saved. So that's why we still have these houses. Okay. So here's a story about the fire. Okay. So Bolin, after the war, he is in residence in November 1882. So he's the man of the house now, and his mother's elderly, and then he's got his family who's being raised. So in 1882, when a fire started in the cook room and spread to the main building. So this could have been a cook room, a kitchen area. You know,
if you look at it and you move over a little bit, you'll see there's kind of like a gap where they put something else. So it's not, it doesn't go the full length. Sorry guys, as I ran my hand through the camera. You'll see, look, how there's an addition, like a screen porch addition. So I'm wondering if maybe like originally the first house had a longer built-in, and then they decided to make the cook room something like this for the second go around, so the fire wouldn't happen. Or where the screen porch is, maybe it was a separate cook room.
I don't know. All right, when the cistern ran dry, firefighters could only watch as the house was devoured in flames. In May the following year, they rebuilt it, and the papers kind of reporting on the progress of the rebuild, and it says it was beautiful, it's elegant, it reflects credit upon the builders who were J.W. Henderson and Son. Was that a local?
Yep.
Okay, local company.
Henderson and Sons, I think helped build the courthouse after it burned too.
Oh, okay. It seems likely that Bolin Glover, now the head of his mother's household, would have chosen the new style of the house, with its floor-length windows opening onto porches with paired square columns, bracketed cornice, arched-top front door entry, and heavy hood moldings over each window. The house has all the hallmarks of the Italianate style. Its mansard roof, however, better qualifies this house as Second Empire style. The beautiful home received no formal name, though several generations of the Glover ownership. Instead, it was lovingly called he says the house, but I've heard it referred to as the townhouse. And so generations of family lived there. Now, when Bolin died, I believe he had a number of daughters, and I believe it was his daughter, Fanny, who ends up staying in the house. She was a spinster, she didn't marry. She ends up staying in the house and living there until, according to Jim Glover's book, she kind of goes a little crazy, as you know, we all do at some point. Eccentric. And so in her later years, she ends up actually suing her brother and one of her brother-in-laws over the estate and what to do with it. She wanted to sell the house and get her portion of the money, probably to live off of, because I would imagine in later in life she's not working, and she didn't have a husband who could have left her some sort of, savings of some sort. And so she needed this money. So anyways, they end up selling the house in 1936. And that's when it gets out of the Glover family forever. It is then purchased by...
Wasn't it Elizabeth Anderson?
Yes, by Elizabeth Anderson Blair for $6,000.
You could have converted that for that.
I know, I didn't. Somebody can do that. Do the math.
So it would be a pittance.
Yeah.
Still.
Mrs. Blair, the daughter of James T. and Jessie Anderson, had grown into adulthood in the house located across the street from the Glover home. So she was a family friend, and as the young widow of Dr. Leslie Blair, she raised her two young children. Now, another interesting thing to note is that, this is Wright Street, I think.
Yeah, it's the house across Wright Street, not across it.
An additional entry was added to the side of the home facing Wright Street, and a stairwell was built in the old dining room to access the second floor. In 1962, some of you may remember this, Elizabeth Blair was tragically killed in an airplane disaster at Orly Field in Paris, France, that also claimed the lives of 129 other passengers. Most were fellow Atlanta art patrons returning from a month-long visit of Europe's great museums. So that's a very famous incident in Atlanta history, and there is some Cobb County ties to that, including Elizabeth Blair dying in that. So then Sandy and Nancy Edwards bought the Glover House in 1990. Of course, they then ran, at some point, the Whitlock Inn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when. Yeah, the Anderson House. But then at some point, see, it says in 2001 they sold it to a business, which is still here.
Yeah.
So, and it's a, as you said, a German private business. Yeah. So, do you want to walk around?
We'll walk around the front just because we don't want to walk up the street while there's a train going by. I mean, granted, I will be talking about trains, but so yeah, we can see like the corners where it's been all in. This one is always an eye catcher when you're driving down Whitlock, just one because of the color, because it's such a different color from everything. We can argue what it is, but being very careful is not very uneven. So, hopefully one day we'll get to go inside. You can see the porch right here, our wheelchair access. You can't hear me. I'm right by the microphone over there. I don't know why you can't hear me. Don't worry, when we switch over, maybe I'll get better. So yeah, here's the house. I'm going to sit back a little bit.
I want you to see that door. Here, come in closer to that. You're smart.
I'll sit here. See you all the
This is the door. Yeah, some beautiful details there. Now we do have some photographs of family in front of this house. Some old black and white, beautiful turn of the century photos that I just didn't have. That I just didn't have a chance to grab from the people try to find us just
yeah.
So we're gonna walk now.
So we're going to walk on Whitlock.
Yeah.
It's going to be loud. We apologize. But we probably won't do a whole lot of talking until we get to our next stop. But we'll show the Anderson House, Whitlock Inn, and then the spot where the bank is. And if you go watch the Victorian Village episode, I know it's not easy without our thing, but the bank building, if you watch Victorian Village, the Benson House, and the Baker House. That's where they used to be. So you guys make sure to check. That one was a fun one. That was our last time we did live videos.
And last time we didn't realize the comments were off. So that's why if you said anything in the last video and we didn't respond to you, that's
Sorry, our bad.
yeah, it was
The way we
I
put
thought, boy, they're being quiet today. Nobody
they were listening intently.
So you want
So
to shout right now across the street, where all of these. Why do I keep putting my hand in front of them?
Because
Okay.
you're not used to
These
it.
are all First Methodist buildings here. They were all houses at some point. Actually, one of Marietta's first hospitals was in a house which was on that property there.
Yeah.
The hospital where Bill Kitty was born. For those who remember him, he was a long-time Marietta Daily Journal journalist.
Noted historian, too.
Noted historian, absolutely.
So here's the Anderson House.
Yeah, beautiful home.
And then the next one that we're going to come up to
And this is circa 1900.
Oh, did you read the sign? Good for you.
I did! Look at that. I can read and walk at the same time.
I'm impressed. And then this one coming up is the Whitlock Inn. So the Whitlock Inn just changed ownership earlier this year.
Yeah, it changed ownership earlier this year, and it was a bed and breakfast for a while, then an event and rental space.
Yeah, it's back
and
to, it's still a event rental.
I think they'll use it as events now. This is not the original Whitlock Inn. The original house that stood there was much bigger and burned as well, and it took up much more square footage.
Yes.
Footprint, I should say. Here's the bank where the two houses that we talked about 3 weeks ago were...
That was 3 weeks. Sorry,
I know, it's 3 weeks ago. Time's flying when you're having fun in virtual accounting.
Alright, so here at the corner, we're going to get up to kind of where the Walgreens is. Yeah, we'll get up to the corner first.
If we get hit by a car crossing the street, you guys can all use this as evidence against whoever does it.
Oh, Lord. I know, that's... Because, like, right now, there's, like, no crosswalk. They're repainting all of this.
I know. Okay. Do we have a walk anywhere?
Not yet. We will, though.
Here we go, in the middle. Ducks on a pond.
Okay, so the Walgreens, if you're not familiar, is at the corner of the Loop and Whitlock Avenue. You guys should see the looks that we're getting from the drivers. It's pretty epic.
We put our lives in our hands for you guys. You know? For history.
But I think when you and I first started working here, it was same as this one. Yeah. I know, but like it's nice to run over to the Walgreens and get stuff.
First we lost the Mrs. Winners, then we lost the Crystal.
Yeah.
Out of Starbucks. I mean, come on, people. We need that grease somewhere. Gotta get that.
So originally, though, Whitlock Avenue was actually called Paulding Street. Is that what we? Because it connected you to Paulding County.
That's right. Oh, this is a long light.
It is a long line on the Loop. It always is. All right, we're getting there.
Hey, do you see that building there? You can tell me what that is.
I don't know.
Anybody?
I don't know.
Bueller.
I'll say that.
Bueller.
But yeah, like Amy mentioned, that our building is because of the Glovers. So without the Glovers, we wouldn't have that building.
That's right. They built that. It was their warehouse.
All right, here we go.
Okay, here we go, folks. This is it.
We can do it.
You ever honked? Oh gosh. I gotta use my water bottle too.
All right, so let's get into the shade. I got it. Got it.
Okay, we got it. Here's our firemen. Let's wave to our firemen. Woohoo!
They're not paying attention. They got their AC rolling. Okay, so we're gonna hopefully it's gonna be a little bit quieter,
In the shade.
but we need shade for a minute.
Okay,
So okay, if you guys notice,
here we are.
the railroad tracks are actually just right in front of us, and then behind us is the Loop and everything. That's why it was her idea to start that, or to do the house and all that. I was like, oh, Lordy. So the Walgreens, the property of the Walgreens is where the Phoenix Foundry first started, which was owned by the Withers family, not Winters, but Withers. And then Glover bought it, the younger Glover. Their names are all the same. I can't remember them all.
It was
Boland
James
Jr.?
Boland. James Boland. No, James Boland bought the Phoenix Foundry.
Yes.
His son, James Boland III, ran
Right.
and opened Glover Machine Works. And that is on this property, just to remind you, right here, okay? It was a big warehouse right on move off the street here. The back corner, on the back end, was here. Yeah. The back end was where the foundry was. Now, the front end of this lot over here, okay, where our parking lot is, that was where the Congregationalist Church, the African American Congregationalist Church was, which I believe, goes back to Civil War.
They're established post-war, but I'm going to show you guys in just a second. Let me get my right She gave me all of her
Turn
stuff.
around so you can talk.
Okay. 1890. Okay. So, right.
This is Sanborn now.
That is the Phoenix Foundry. Sorry, my wind's blowing my paperwork. Okay. See it? My finger is.
I'm gonna hold still. Alright. Alding Street, wait, where's my hand?
I don't know.
Alding Street is Whitlock, okay? Here's the square. We've got Whitlock Avenue. Here is the Kennesaw House. Railroad track. We're standing right here. No, over here. Where my finger is. We're standing across the tracks right here. That's the foundry. Okay.
That's 1890.
1890.
They purchased the Glovers purchased the property in 1892.
Okay.
So, let me use the book. Right there.
Okay, so now you're going to see we've got
Right? Okay, so.
the foundry, the Glover Machine Works. Over here is the church. Then the church opened a school. So we have an African-American school here. Okay, this is where African-American children in a segregated system were taught. These dwellings here, actually there were 6 of them on the last one we didn't point out.
Yeah.
1890 there were 6 dwellings, and they're specified as colored dwellings.
Yeah,
so we have black families who are living here next to the school and the church. Well, I don't know what that building was.
I wouldn't be surprised if maybe that's like the Parsons.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But so you can see Glover's here, and then we've got this little offshoot right there.
Yes.
So there was a railroad spur right here, and then if you go to 1900, hold on, I'm gonna have to turn this around. They never print the right ways. There it is again, Machine Works. But by this is 1900. By 1905, they realized they need more. Not even before that, like 1902, they realized they need a bigger property. So they don't even purchase. They have this land because the Glovers owned a lot of land.
Yes,
Let's
they
remember
did.
this. So they build on 11 acres on Butler Street. I don't have that map.
Okay.
But before I do that, before we discuss them on Butler Street, this is what
Yes.
this property looked like. Sorry.
Okay, so here we're at Walgreens. Imagine that instead. But actually, it would be the backside, which is over here.
Along the tracks.
Because if you see, these right here, this is actually a train car holding a bunch of cows. Okay? And so the tracks are here. So that's the back end of Walgreens right here. We would be standing over in this corner right here, right now. So that's a picture of it.
Yeah.
We can post that picture
Yeah, I'll do
on
that.
Facebook.
So
as well,
they moved to Butler Street around 1902, 11 acres.
which is south of the square.
Yes. If you're going on Atlanta Street south. If you drive that way now, Atlanta Street south to Atlanta Street and South Cobb Drive, it's where the water works, or the Cobb County Water Authority Works building, whatever it is.
Right.
That's that property. Is where the Glover Machine Works work.
I have a picture of it. If you look in that newspaper article that I brought.
I see it, yes.
Yes. So this is an article, I think, from '95, when the Glovers ran the Glover Machine Works company out of that location, and then also out of Cordele. Along the way, they had built a factory in Cordele, Georgia, but they used their property, I think, until about '92.
Yeah.
Here in Marietta, and then the property kind of sat vacant. This is kind of what it was looking like. Some people still have memories of that building. Our old boss and museum founder Dan Cox, said the little boys used to run over to this and throw rocks at the windows.
Yeah, if you look at this bottom picture,
So
look at all those windows
yeah,
busted out.
That's what I was zoomed in on. So then, so this is what it looked like when they tore it down in '95, and then the county took it over. I did read that article, and it talks about how the county commissioners at the time did not believe it was a historic enough building to save. So they needed to tear it down. So that's what happened.
We're going to cross the street so we can go over to the locomotive.
Yeah.
And that way we can talk more.
Let's
and not
cross
be
to the
so-
crosswalk. Let's be
What?
Let's be legal about this. Okay.
Really?
Yes.
Well, now we got to cross back too.
Well, we can at least cross here. I always feel better close to the tracks. I don't know why.
I understand that. I get that point. Let's.
Oh, and if anyone can tell us, this is a new development for those who are interested in the railroad. These have been sitting here for a couple of weeks, so it looks like they're going to be replacing the...
This set actually came in last week.
Okay, but they've been around.
They've been around.
It looks like they're going to replace the concrete railroad ties that have been there forever. They're going back to wood. Can you believe that? Who'd have thunk?
And if you haven't been down here, it smells like it's a very tar smell that we get. Well, first off, you haven't been here for like the past 3 weeks with that smell going, and every day. But I mean, I don't mind it so much, but in the morning it's really potent, and I think it's because it's so humid. So
now we're gonna walk through some dumpsters, so ignore those. It's our parking lot that's getting
oh yeah, that smells good. I'd rather smell the tar than the garbage. But
here we go.
All right,
Here we go. Here's our museum. For those who haven't visited, come visit us. Visit it.
Well, if you visited, then come back and visit it again.
Our welcome center in the old depot. Okay.
And then it's the choo-choo.
So this is what kind of started this adventure today. Was Christa told me while I was out, she said, "Hey, we're gonna do the blah blah train." I was like, "Oh, cool."
I wasn't gonna give her any choice, honestly.
Sounds great, but I didn't want to just stand here the whole time.
I did.
So Chris was like, "It's hot. I just want to stand in one place." And I was, creosote. Thank you, Linda. It's creosote. Creosote.
Oh, thank you. That was a word I did not know.
Yes, that's what smells. Well, I like the smell of creosote.
All right.
So, I'm gonna prop this up for a second.
Okay. So this train has been here.
Somebody lost an earring.
What?
Oh,
Me?
look at that. No. Wait a minute. Hiding it. Where is it? There it is. Oh, look at that. It's on the. It's right there.
Oh. Because I did lose an earring a couple weeks ago, but I wasn't over here. I was like walking. Anyway. Okay, so this train has been in this location since like 1992.
Yeah. I'm gonna turn around so I can see you.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
So
That doesn't sound good.
this locomotive is a Glover one. Glover made, before they made locomotives, they were making parts and pieces, like machinery, pipes, things like fittings. That's the word I want. And then they started making locomotives. So the locomotive here is actually one of their smaller sizes. And if you, we do not currently have this book at the museum for sale. This is our copy. This is Glover Steam Locomotives, the South's Last Steam Builders by Dick Hillman.
You can probably find that on eBay.
Well, that or
No?
it might be over at the Southern Museum.
Oh, that's
Because if you're
true.
wondering what happened to the archives and objects that were inside the Glover buildings, which here I can
That's a
show
good
you.
point to make.
Look at some of these pictures. This is Glover's in
Hold on,
92.
turn it this way because there's
Oh,
a
sorry.
glare. Let's just keep rotating until I feel like it's good. No, it's just really not.
Hold on, I can.
I'll zoom in. Hold it up.
Is it a better at an angle?
Yeah, these are pictures of the inside of the building before they cleared
So
it out.
these two are 92. I don't know what the year are for these two, where the work's actually being done.
Yeah.
But Glover Machine Works,
full of stuff.
full of stuff. And if Anna is watching, she is going to do the one job I asked her to do, which is to post a link. Because the Library of Congress actually has a program where they'll go through and look at engineering sites, and one of them was Glover Machine Works. So they came through, took pictures. We'll post that link. You guys can see it, see what it looked like. I mean, jam-packed full of stuff. Well, where are those things? Thank God they weren't thrown away, because we all know that's the one thing I hate the most, is when really great things like that are thrown away. They are not housed here, because we don't have the space for it, and we didn't really have a museum at that point. They are at what is now the Southern Museum of Civil War and Locomotive History. So that is where the Glover archives are. You can make an appointment to go see things. They've got patterns, pieces. We've got patterns as well. The History Center in Atlanta does. So there's little bits of Glover Machine Works throughout the state.
They've actually
throughout the world.
recreated
Yes.
the factory.
That's right.
Recreated it.
The foundry,
And
yeah.
so they have 2 or 3 locomotives on display in there.
Yes.
And it's kind of set up like a workshop like they had it back then. So it's,
Right.
it's really a neat little experience to walk through.
So let me get my page in this book. See, look, I can mark pages too. Amy does more of that than I do, but. So what is the deal with this one? Well, this was a train, if you want to pan around and let everybody see, and I'll just stay close to the microphone.
Okay.
So this train was actually at the foundry and the machine works towards the end in 1992. And so it was kind of rusting outside. They decided to move it inside, but it really needed a home, a place to be, since they knew that the buildings were going to be taken down. So the Glover family made a deal with the city of Marietta, and it is on permanent loan.
Permanent loan.
Which is not my favorite term.
Bum, bum, bum. We do not like permanent loans, FYI. We like donations.
We like donations, but permanent loan is an oxymoron, but we're not getting into that today. So the idea was that the city would come, have it, they built this structure for it, and they built all the fencing. And so, I'm going to do this one in a second, sorry.
Yeah.
And so they built all of this, and they paid for the restoration. So this is why it's here. It's a great little spot, great little place to have a picture done. But the machine works were definitely something that, for Marietta, put us on the map. We'll bring over here as well.
Mm-hmm. They made locomotives for all over the world, for people all over the world. South America, Argentina,
Russia.
Russia. Oh yeah, there was the story. I didn't bring that book. It's in the ancestral history of the Glover family, which is actually pretty interesting. The Marietta parts have got some great stories, and again, Jim Glover wrote that. But one of the stories that he tells in it is that, I believe it was Wilder Glover, which was John Wilder Glover, which was one of the sons of another generation, anyways, who took over for his brother when his brother died. The John Bolin Glover III, who started it. He dies young.
Like 33.
In his 30s. I don't remember what he dies of. But he dies young and his brother takes over the company. So, at some point his brother makes a contract with the Russian government to make 4 locomotives. And they make the locomotives, but it was right before the Bolshevik takeover, 1917. So we're not sure exactly what year this contract went down, but all we know, per the story, is that the monarchy is overthrown, the Tsar is overthrown, and at this point, the Russian government is kind of unstable, and they don't get the trains. They paid for them, I guess, but they didn't come get them, and so John Wilder Glover was like, oh no, you're going to come get these trains. I ain't got room for them.
Right.
And so, as the story goes, he goes back and forth with his Russian liaison here in the States, and they finally agree. The government agrees to come and get them. So he forced his hand on that, and okay. I gotta go.
That's what I was thinking,
We're back.
I got a little bit.
Let me get that for you.
Yeah, I had lipstick on my tooth, and I recognized that was an emergency situation, and so I had to jump off real fast to fix the lipstick. No, just kidding. So we had to cut that last one a little short. Sorry, not sorry, because a dear friend went down. Ship went down.
I got way too overheated and not enough water, and I went down faster than coal coming out of a train. I was just boom, out, done.
Yes.
So don't worry, I'm okay now. We're sitting out here.
We think you're okay. We're still going to give you a history test later to see if you've lost any of your mental capabilities. I don't know that they're 100% back yet.
They're pretty close. I mean, to be honest, I probably could finish this video really quick, but I won't.
No, you know what? I think we got enough history
you got
today.
44 minutes of awesomeness.
If you'd like to learn more about the Glover locomotives and the Glover Machine Works, then you can visit the Kennesaw Museum, and they can tell you all about it.
We do have some stuff, though, too.
We do. And we can tell you, because I do have an exhibit on it, too.
I was just saying, if you want to see a Glover Machine Works pattern that was used in the building of the lock system for the Panama Canal, we're the only place that has it.
Yes.
Just FYI.
We do have that. We do have that. We do. She's got it.
That's legit
She's got
information.
She does. You know what else I didn't even get to do? and I'm not going
My
to
bad.
because I'm down. I had a key. I have a key to
train key.
the lock over there, to this gate, to get in, to look inside that train. So maybe we'll do that real fast, just so it's on here and it's for posterity's sake. I gotta stand up. Here I am again in a skirt. I'm always doing these in skirts. I know, because we're outside and it's hot. Okay, so let's come over here. And Christa is good. For those who didn't hear it, she got overheated because I forced her to walk all the way from Wright Street in the heat. It's my fault completely. She only wanted, as we stated in the last video, she just wanted to stand here and talk about the train. I said, no, we're gonna walk. So, yeah, I forced her into exertion, but she's good now. She's got a Sprite, a few bruises, a little bit of brain damage. We're good. We're good. That's right. She's still better than me. She still functions better than me. She's sitting over there. There she is. Look at that. And here's Anna. Hi. This is our third wheel. Always the third wheel. Yes, but I'm going to unlock this somehow. Anna, would you like to unlock that somehow? It worked when Steve did it the other day.
Oh, great. So now it's not gonna work.
Yeah. So pop that open there, and here we go. So this, oh, of course, here I am again in a skirt, hopping up here. Oh, that does not feel like it's going to hold my weight. I'm not 100% confident in that step. I'm just going to put that out there. Oh, jeez. All right, if it breaks, Steve can, okay, hold on. I'm going to, here, thanks. Okay, don't get my skirt.
We're gonna look at the train. There we go.
All right, folks. So, if in case you were wondering what's up here, because you usually can't see it, it's a very dirty plexiglass. That's plexi, yeah. But inside is the engine works of the train. This is a steam engine, so down there, that's where you would have put the coals to burn to create the steam, and a little chair. I'm acting like I'm an expert on locomotives. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think maybe that looks like a chair. I'm gonna go with that. Maybe the guy could sit. I don't know. And then over here is just a black box. I don't know what. Maybe this is where the wood was stored. Again, no, this is a coal. Maybe they put wood in there. Maybe it's wood burning. This is all right. You know what? That's. That situation has me more jumbled than Christa. So I'm not thinking straight. I don't know if this is wood burning or coal burning. I don't know. It burns something. It's steam, but what does it burn to make the steam?
Coal
or wood?
or both.
Well, most of them were for lumber yards, so I would assume lumber.
Oh, see? A lot of them were for lumber yards, so it's maybe wood. See? She doesn't know either. All right, well, here we go. If anyone knows and can find out the exact answer to that. But in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy standing up here because nobody else ever gets to. Nana, nana, boo, boo. And here we are on the train. So, thanks for watching. And next time we'll try not to push it. Chris is going to make sure we're in AC next time. And we'll catch you next Friday. Thanks, guys.